Alright, so today is September 25th. Alright, hey guys. So it's been a while since I made a video, at least it feels like a while. There have been a lot of material concerns of moving and all my stuff breaking and things like that. So it's been hard to film or even think about filming. There's been a lot of what I would call to-do list brain, which is where you have these ideas for things that you need to get done, and you just get them done, then you can go back to normal. But there's always something not quite right about them. You need to just shop for and find a job, but the jobs that you're thinking of aren't there, and then the jobs that are there are that was a big ant and that are there bring up all kinds of weird feelings of what you actually want to do with your life versus what's available. And then you need to shop for a new computer, but nothing's ever as simple as it seems like it should be. You're trying to check these things off your list, but there's always something not quite right about them. They're not actually easily check-offable. It's an interesting mental space, and I feel like it's easy to take, a few steps over with to-do list brain from the stuff you have to do to the things that are maybe more quote-unquote fun, like shopping for nail polish or whatever dumb thing you don't need. But it's all the same. It always refuses to fit into that checkbox, and probably not a healthy way to spend your time in the long run if you can avoid it. So anyway, I've been dealing with a lot of that, but I have still been thinking about video ideas and a lot of things I want to make. And today I was thinking about this job I used to have working at a fish laboratory. So there were these grad students working on their PhDs, and then people like me would help them finish their research. And they had a lot of samples that needed to be counted under the microscope for zooplankton. And it's funny because I don't think they realized how much sand they were getting in the samples. It was like 99% sand, which turned a 20-minute task into like a 10-hour task. But that disconnect happens all over the place in life. But I was supposed to be on the lookout for like 10 to 15 different kinds of zooplankton. And I could probably hold about 4 or 5 images in my head. They had a term they used for that process of mentally holding an image in your head, and if I could remember what it is, I could probably find a lot of really cool articles about it. But basically, it's this image that you hunt for, like an animal hunting for prey. You picture, there's this one zooplankton I will never forget. It kind of looked like a water flea. I don't remember the name, but the image, the prototypical image of this zooplankton will forever rest in my memory. So we use those to try and find things. And I was playing this video game yesterday, and it was talking about people don't see things that they're not looking for. The character in the video game who was saying this was a conspiracy theorist, so he was always looking for conspiracies, and because it's a video game full of exciting activities, he was always finding conspiracies. But the main character, who was like a teenage girl protagonist, she was always finding these mysterious things too. And she wasn't actively looking for them, but you could argue either that being that young, maybe she didn't have as many prototypes in her mind. Adults are always holding on to these threads of, these are all the things I need to do to pay rent at the end of the month. Chasing them along to try and get by. But you could also say that being a kid, she was looking for adventure, and she found it. It's interesting because even if you're fully present in the moment and you see like the mysterious dark men around town, that they always make this argument that, oh, people just completely block it out. It was the argument in Buffy, it was the argument in pretty much any show with supernatural things to explain why people haven't realized it before. But even if you're quote-unquote aware enough to see that, does that just clutter up your mind again? Like if your mind is completely open and then you see the mysterious man in black, then are you looking for that? Is that your new prototype? But if you forget it, it makes me think of this this idea I had. It's a two-dimensional world that's a infinitely complex fractal of red, yellow, blue, white, and black. And it's incredibly complex and detailed. But now, to make a three-dimensional world, you stack this, and it's twisted different ways, sort of each layer as you go up. And so it makes these incredibly complex patterns of colors. You get colors you never had before, like pink and purple and green and orange and every shade in between. And you get structures too, like where before you might have had a step, so to speak, you could now have a spiral staircase. And you could argue, well, if you just twist these different layers and condense them all back down, it's all just really one fractal. But I don't think that anyone would argue that it's actually reducible. There's complexity in the layering that wasn't there in each single frame. And I think that's probably the same way with life, that you could theoretically reduce things. We do this all the time with words, with ideas. But if life could be reduced, it would be reduced. But it's not reduced, so we can see that it can't be reduced. The patterns are a part of the very nature of it. There's this guy with a leaf blower. There are like probably 10 leaves on the ground, and he's decided he needs to blow lilies off his driveway. So, anyway, how do you keep this thread in your mind of the things that you've seen so that you can find the different complexities that occur throughout time as it spirals on, without cluttering up your mind so much so you can never see anything new? So life is more complex than any one moment, and the patterns maybe are a part of something. So how do you remember and hold on to things that you've seen while also being fully present in each moment without, cluttering up your mind with all of these loose threads that theoretically, ideally, I feel like you'd never really be able to tie off any loose thread because the pattern's always unfolding. It reminds me of something I've been feeling lately, which is that I love autumn. I love the feeling in the air of cold weather approaching. There's this feeling in the fall when the cold weather starts coming in, of infinite mystery and stories and characters of magic and harvest and food and memories of parties that sort of linger in the back of your mind, and all of the beauty of a season that leads us into a time of sort of rest where we traditionally have had more time to stay inside and think of stories and read them to one another. There's so much beauty in just one gust of fall air, so almost intangible, and it makes me just want to buy every fake plastic pumpkin in the store and just bury myself in them until I can hold on to autumn and somehow catch this intangible ghost of a feeling and possess it. So maybe it's like that, but like the opposite of that. I don't know. I think it's all kind of silly as a premise anyway, because people find things all the time they weren't looking for. Life will come out and bite you if it wants to, and it's probably up to you whether you just cover your eyes and close your ears and try to ignore the confusion, or accept that life might be a lot bigger and a lot more colorful than you ever dared to hope for. Anyway, 10 out of 10. Great day. Or maybe it's like that pyramid of needs where unless your basic needs of food and water and safety are met, then you can't pursue anything higher. Or at the very least, you have to be able somehow to accept the situation that you're in order to dream of anything more.